Okay, so now for our Module 6, Lesson 19, this is our second part, all about bites. So now we're going to go to the front of the organism and see how things bite each other. And there's a really cool paper I was reading earlier today called Venoms of Heteroptera and Insects. Heteroptera is just part of the Hemiptera, just remember that. Venom of Heteroptera and Insects, a treasure trove of diverse pharmacological toolkits. There's a lot of really... within insects, as far as bite goes, in Hemiptera, they have some of the worst bites out there. You can see here on the top left, these are all images from that actual paper. Is a Bellostomatid. That's a giant water bug. It is, as you can see there, if you look close, it is killed and it's eating a turtle. On the top right is a Regiviid. That's an assassin bug that's killed an insect, or killed an insect, of course, a cricket. What those two both do for feeding is that they pierce it, kill it with a toxin, and then turn it to mush and suck it through a tube. It's pretty nasty. So not only are they toxin, but they're also like just kind of outer digesting it a little bit and then sucking it up. In the middle there is a kissing bug that is taking a blood meal from a human. They are kind of nasty as well. They're not outward digesting your body. They're just sucking your blood out. They're going to have a few different toxins to kind of for numbing and other things like that. But they're pretty cool. As we look here, a few others, the creeping water bugs. These are little nacords. They're not very big. They're probably the size of a dime or a little less. They're cool little critters. And I caught one a couple years ago, actually, in my entomology class. And the little pissant bit me. And I was holding it really stupidly. You should hold it from the side. They can't do anything. I was holding it top and bottom. I kind of forgot for a minute that they had a really painful bite. It sunk its beak right into my thumb, and I'm like, wow, that really hurt. And then it got excruciating. It's worse than any sting I've ever had. It hurt so badly. It only hurt for about 10 minutes, thank goodness, but it was excruciating. And I didn't curse. I bit my tongue, but I was yelling a little bit. And one of my students, Emily, who ended up doing a master's here with us in the lab and with some other people on campus, she was like, are you gonna be okay there? You need to call somebody? I'm like, no, I'm gonna be okay. But I was throwing a minor tantrum because it hurt really, really badly. And then the nodonectids, next to those are the back swimmers. Those are also really, they have a nice little bite. They call them water bees because for the same reason they can inject a poison. It's pretty nasty and potent and not fun to mess with. So don't mess with a back swimmer. All right, this is from that paper. I was just going to read a couple things because it was kind of cool. It says predaceous heteropterans such as the assassin bug and back swimmers, the water bees like I just talked about, may bite humans causing pain, tissue necrosis, numbness, respiratory disturbances, and in extreme cases, death. I can't see one of those actually killing you, but maybe a small person or, like I said, a compromised person. While some plant-feeding heteropterans and agricultural pests incur billions of dollars in management costs annually, others are evaluated by biocontrol agents. An essential feature in each of these relations between humans and true bugs is envenomation. They have a good amount of venom. I'm not going to read all this, but there's a couple of key parts here. The venom of predaceous species is not only used to digest prey, but for defense and to rapidly immobilize and kill prey. Bugs being able to paralyze prey hundreds of times larger than themselves and quickly over the time scale of seconds. That's kind of frightening. They can kill vertebrates in a single envenomation. The assassin bug contains peptides that adopt inhibitor crystalline knot structure, which is widespread in venom neurotoxins from other animals. So that's pretty nasty. And it's kind of a cool convergent evolution thing going on there where these neurotoxins, they clearly didn't get the venom from the same source because nothing related to them has it. but it's very similar to things found in other organisms, so it's pretty cool. The next one we're talking about are spiders, and there's a lot more fun to be had here. There's 43,000 different spiders found in the world. Of these, only a small handful are dangerous, and less than 30 have been responsible for human deaths. So spiders do get a bad rap, but it's actually kind of funny because people always say, "Oh, in America, there's only 2 poisonous spiders." We really should say venomous to be picky about it, but that's not true. There's 2 spiders in North America that can hurt you. There's actually 3 now: the fiddleback, the hobo, and the black widow. All the other spiders have venom. They don't do damage. They won't hurt a human. You might get a little sore. You might get what's like a mosquito bite, but they're not going to hurt you. But we're going to go through some of the 10 most venomous spiders. Probably a good idea to take a look at some of these, get to know some of them. You may want to recall some of them at some point in time on an exam. I don't know, but they're really cool. The yellow sac spider, a nasty little thing, leads to the MRSA infection. That's an antibiotic, a methicillin-resistant staph infection. Staphylococcus aureus, I believe it is. But it rarely bites humans. There can be some necrosis with that, so that's kind of number 10. The fringed ornamental tarantula. We don't know a lot about its venom, but it's rumored to induce comas. So in some places where it's found. The Chinese bird spider, it hunts small animals and causes death in mice with a tiniest little bit of venom going into it. The mouse spider of Australia, has the venom to kill a human, but usually dry bite. So usually if it's biting a human, it's not going for gold, it's not trying to kill it, it's trying to just scare the thing away and get it away from it. But that's kind of nasty. All right, the brown recluse or fiddleback. This one is found in North America. It can cause necrosis, which is just deteriorating tissue. It's pretty gross. I'm going to show you some horrifying pictures here in a second. It can cause a systemic infection in the Chilean version. The Chilean version seems to be worse than the North American version. It can lead to kidney failure and can lead to death untreated. Not something you want to have happen. There was actually a kid that a family friend of ours knew that we believe was bit by one of these right on his head, and it seemed to deteriorate the myelin sheath around his brain and permanently damage his brain and then eventually cause death. They're pretty awful. They get their name from the fiddleback. It's right here. It kind of looks like a little, I'm outlining that was stupid, but it kind of looks like a little fiddle right there on its back. So it's the fiddleback spider, the brown recluse. That's good. And here's a nasty picture of damage done by one of them. It's pretty gross. Here's one I probably won't include on the notes that we give out, but it is some pictures I found a long time ago, and they're pretty awful. I'm just warning you, you may want to skip ahead if you don't want to see it. So this is I think day 1 or 2 of the bite on the thumb by a brown recluse. Here's the next day, and then, like I said, that it's a tissue degrading toxin. It's just nasty. Here's what it looked like eventually. It's so gross. It just totally just pulled apart that tissue that's in there. Here's a couple others. We'll just skip past those. All right. The next group are the widow spiders. So the red back spider and the black widow spider. The red back has caused at least 14 deaths in Australia. Usually cause seizures and coma. with some respiratory failure. The black widow, that's the one that eats its mate post-copulation. There's a really cool video in the lesson that you should watch. It's only a couple minutes long about the black widow and the male spider and the female spider that I highly recommend. Well, you definitely want to watch it. I'll probably ask a couple questions about it. It's one of these PBS Deep Look ones. It's really cool, and it doesn't take long. The venom causes lactodectism, spinal or cerebral paralysis, severe muscle spasms, and can cause death. And these are all over the American Southwest, out in the desert. You don't want to mess with one of these. But you can find them all over the place. They're pretty gnarly. All right, our next spider, the Sydney funnel web spider. This one is just nightmare fuel. I don't know. I wouldn't want to mess with this. It's not afraid to fight. It says it's rather bite than run and will repeat strike. Its compound is called atracotoxin. It's dangerous to primates. One child that got bit by one of these things died within 15 minutes. I would not want to mess with this thing. It looks just horrifying and scary. Don't like it. The six-eyed sand spider. It's a lot like the recluse, but many times more potent. If that can keep you up at night, great. Right? It causes necrosis again, dissemination of intravascular coagulation throughout the skin, bleeding from the skin and orifices, and death. Just don't mess with this spider. And then the last one, which I for the life of me can't figure out why somebody would have this on their arm, the Brazilian wandering spider. It's supposed to be the most venomous and aggressive. It has a neurotoxin that can lead to breathing problems and asphyxiation, and death has resulted even after antivenom was given. It's a big spider. Like I said, it's obviously on someone's arm. Why would you do that? No, thanks. I'm not going to do it. So here's a little summary of the different spider toxins, right? So there's kind of 4 classes, and this would be a good thing to kind of focus on. The widow spiders, right? And that's a neurotoxin. We talked about lasting from hours to days. So again, it's all the same function of a venom coming out of a fang, but over time, evolution has caused these things to evolve lots of different ways and doing some really cool different types of toxins. The recluses, these are nasty. They have a necrotic toxin, so they cause degradation, skin injuries of different severity. You can see here slight irritation to serious ulcers and development of systemic hemolysis and leading to death. No, that's not fun. The wandering spiders, like that last one, the Brazilian one, it's a peptide neurotoxin affecting sodium channels. So it's life-threatening. And the Australian funnel web, again, also really bad, is the atracotoxin. That's a different kind of a neurotoxin. It's this thing, depending on who you talk to, but says it's the most dangerous for humans. They shouldn't say sting. The bite causes local and systemic effects and different severity, pain at the site, muscular spasm, hypertension, coma, death, you name it. Bad news. A lot of bad news going on there. Okay, this is just for fun. We're done with spiders and spider bites, but I don't think I put these in when I talked about the arthropods, but it's just kind of fun. Spiders build webs, and webs are really important and doing really cool things. But here we see what happens when you administer drugs to different spiders. Okay? And it's kind of funny and kind of eye-opening. So the one that's probably most eye-opening, the caffeinated one, really messes with the spider. It's this one down here. This is actually, both of these down here are caffeine spiders. Hash here, this is LSD, which is This is an LSD-like compound right there. That's pretty cool. We'll go to the next slide. Oops. Right here. So here you can see, it's just funny. The spider and marijuana drifted off before finishing the job. The spider on benzodrine and upper worked energetically without much planning. The spider dosed with chlorine hydrated a sedative soon fell asleep. To the surprise of Dr. Nova et al., caffeine did the most damage of all substances tested. Spider dosed with it proved incapable of creating even a single organized cell, and its web showed no sign of hub and spokes pattern, fundamental conventional web design. So, there you go. Do with it what you will. Okay, just a couple more things to throw on here. There's some cool spider links I put in the lesson you should definitely check out. They are great. Sorry, I guess it's really at 1 o'clock in the morning, so do not disturb. Just turned on. Okay. Centipedes. Centipedes also have what you would consider really a bite. They have a fang that comes from a modified leg, which actually is the same as a spider. They call it a toxignath, which is a toxic tooth, right? Or maxillipeds. The giant centipedes do the most damage. They don't really see. They smell really, really well. Some have ocelli, and they attack big prey, and they hurt them and take them down really fast. I've never watched this one, but Cody Peterson has a video getting bit by one of these things, and he says it's maybe the worst. I don't know. I do have a couple videos of these. They may not be for the faint of heart. They attack little mammals and things like that. So just be warned. And then the last thing is just beyond stings and bites are just nuisance insects. So some produce toxins for defense and food acquisition. We see a lot of them, like the blister beetles where I talked about, it produces a little substance that can give you skin irritation, so it's going to help it not get eaten, right? The urticating hairs on tarantulas as well as on a lot of caterpillars, like you see right here. And some of the less good moments of my life, I once found a cool caterpillar and let my daughter hold it. I think it would be great, and she got a little rash on her hand and on her arm and realized it was my fault. Don't tell anybody that. She's okay now. That was about 16 years ago. A fun story, when I was a nerdy high school kid, I would always go up to the university and hang out with the entomology department and talk to the grad students and the professors there and try and, learn some stuff. And one guy there who studies mites now, he told me when he was a kid, he climbed up in this tree. He was from Costa Rica, and he found this amazing caterpillar, and he reached out to grab it, and it burned him with these irritants, and he fell out of the tree. And he said, my dad grabbed me. He's like, are you okay? And I said, yeah. And then he this was 45, 50 years ago. He's like, he smacked me. He said, don't you ever climb that tree again. It's not safe. What were you thinking? And so he says, so what I did the next day, I climbed up that tree immediately and trying to find the caterpillar again. But this time I got it without touching it, because I want to know what it was that caused me so much pain. Like, that's that kid destined to become an entomologist of some kind. So cool. So cool. The major risk for here is, again, anaphylactic shock. It's irritating. It's just going to be anaphylactic shock. And then there are some millipedes that produce hydrogen cyanide gas. In this video, it's also in the lesson. You can see it. There's just like a 2-minute clip of that in that video that I care that you watch. It's kind of cool. Guy is clearly passionate and loves his millipedes. So he talks about a millipede that produces a toxin. All right, and that's going to wrap this video up.